Way too early. Third base rankings for 2025 up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into Fantasy Baseball Today in 5 on Tuesday, October 29th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. Way too early. Top 12 third baseman for next season. The top 4 includes Jose Ramirez, no surprise there, followed by Rafael Devers, Austin Riley, and Jazz Chisholm, Scott, who you moved up to your number 4 spot ahead of Manny Machado. Jazz finally stayed healthy. He flashed the power and speed, 24 home runs, 40 steals. He also suffered a UCL sprain in August. Maybe he'll need surgery at some point. Not that we've heard that, but, there's an extensive injury history here. How are you feeling about Jazz Chisholm heading into next year?
I'm feeling good about him. This is probably the best I've ever felt about Jazz Chisholm going into a season. In fact, yes, it's unfortunate, the issue with the elbow, but he managed to come back and play through it and played well, and doesn't sound like he's going to need anything done to that elbow surgically. And you just look at the numbers he put up after joining the Yankees, big venue shift. We saw the power pace, the home run pace, the stolen base pace. Like it looked like he had 40-40 potential, maybe. That's probably a stretch for Jazz Chisholm, but a ton of home runs and a ton of stolen bases. Interestingly, the run and RBI pace wasn't that great during his time with the Yankees, batting more toward the bottom of the lineup. But that could change next year, particularly if Jazz Chisholm performs. It is maybe one reason to play it safe with him. And then, of course, there is still the just broad injury risk that comes with Chisholm, even if you're disregarding the elbow.
5 through 8 in your third base rankings. You have Manny Machado, Jordan Westburg, who also has second base eligibility, Alex Bregman, who is a free agent this offseason, and Matt Chapman. Let's talk about Manny Machado, Scott, who got off to a slow start, was coming back from the elbow surgery last offseason, but wound up hitting .275. He had 29 home runs, 105 RBI, and 11 steals. Not that I want to bet on it for a 32-year-old, but it kind of feels like he could be even better next year than he was this past season.
I'm counting on it. That's why I originally ranked him 4th at the position. I'm part of the reason I'm moving him down is because I don't think there's I don't think anyone else is going to draft him 4th at the position. So it's kind of an unnecessary reach, given that the last 2 years Manny Machado has had a sub 800 OPS. Just slightly, but both of those years he was impacted by the elbow injury in some way, was playing through it in 2023, was hurrying back from surgery in 2024. Remember, wasn't allowed to play the field early on. But once he got past that, June 1st on, Manny Machado hit .294 with an .879 OPS. So instead of a high 700s OPS, it was high 800s. And that's basically who Manny Machado has been for the majority of his career. So I think we're going to get a fully healthy Manny Machado next year. I don't think his skills have diminished at all in his early 30s. And I think there's a good chance he gives you Rafael Devers type numbers, but with a 2 or 3 round discount.
9 through 12 in your third base rankings, Royce Lewis, Junior Caminero, Alec Boehm, and Mark Vientos. It's got 2 young, up-and-coming, exciting names here. Caminero, who is just loaded with all of the prospect pedigree, and Mark Vientos, who kind of looks like he's already on the verge of stardom here. What are you expecting from those 2, Caminero and Vientos?
Yeah, Caminero, I expect to live up to his prospect pedigree, which, coming into 2024, he was in the conversation for number 1 overall prospect, up there with Jackson Chourio. And he's already kind of gotten the struggles out of the way. He got a little bit of time in the majors late in 2023, got about 6 weeks or so in 2024. And though the top line numbers weren't amazing, they were good enough to think he's not overmatched. He had a 98th percentile max exit velocity. That's what Caminero does best, is hit the ball very hard. And his strikeout rate was 21.5%, not bad at all. And so I think just looking historically at top prospects in recent years, Bobby Witt, Julio Rodriguez, Chourio this year, they tend to struggle those first couple months and then take off and live up to their upside. So we may get that takeoff from Caminero right from the start. And yet, because he's already banked those struggles, people are going to look at those numbers and it's going to create kind of a post-type sleeper effect. So I think Caminero, you're going to get that top prospect pedigree at a discount. Vientos, of course, had a breakout season, showed a ton of power, but the reduced strikeout rate early on did not carry over to the second half. He struck out like 34% of the time in the second half. Still managed to hit just under 250 with a ton of power and continue to hit power for power in the postseason. So maybe the strikeout rate's not going to be a deal breaker for Vientos, but anytime you're talking about a strikeout rate that high, there's a lot of downside risk, which is why I may have Vientos a little lower here than people expect.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again on Thursday. Bye-bye.